Big thanks to Burnhard for sponsoring this episode.
Today is going to be a super exciting day. We're going to take the half side of cow out of the dry age cabinet and we're going to put it on the barbecue. Let's go. Look at this. This is one of the first projects that we put in the dry age cabinet. And this thing has been dry aging for 42 days. It's a half side of cow without the legs and just like the middle section. This is the ribs and the part of the belly. And normally we would just take these big giant beef ribs, put them in our barbecue, smoke them up, and they're fantastic. But this time we dry age them. Now we're gonna figure out, you and me together, what's going to happen when we take off the dark spots, how much is left, how much can we use for a good steak, how much can we use to actually barbecue. So let's take this thing out of the dry ager and take it apart. Whoa! It's so super heavy. Insane. You might think this thing is not that heavy. Let me tell you, it's really heavy. Let's get this outside and put it on the table. Woo! There we go. 42 days dry age half side of cow. Insane. Just the fragrance that comes off it. It has that deep, dark, beefy fragrance. I literally want to eat it as it is. It smells so good. And look at how beautiful. That white fat turned into yellow, looking so amazing. Really nice and dried up. Dark, tough on the outside, but probably really tender on the inside. Now that we got this beauty on the table, what do we need to do? Take it apart and get it ready for the barbecue. Whenever you're trying to take apart a large primal cut like this, you gotta really think about it. So what I wanna do is make sure that the first thing that I do is save the ribs, and the ribs end here. So I want to save this whole cut. But the only part that I care about with these ribs is sitting on the other side. So I'm going to trim off this whole piece and then hopefully we can save the inside skirt, or at least some of it. I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to work my way around it, and instantly you see the big benefits of dry aging. Look at this silver skin turning into parchment. It started protecting the meat, but it also came to the point where you can just rip it apart like parchment paper. And this is basically breaking down the fibers. And that's basically what dry aging does. Breaking down the fibers, making everything more tender, more soft, and more intense. And what my butcher taught me was to use a hook and let the weight of the meat do its job. So I'm just letting the weight of the meat help me tear this apart. And the only thing I'm doing with my knife is running it along the bone. I can feel with my finger that this is the end of the bone. This is where the cartilage starts. So I'm gonna make a quick separation here and work my knife along that bone, detaching it from the meat and the cartilage and working my way to that second bone. Now there's a big chunk of cartilage here. So I'm moving on to bigger and better equipment. Because just like with belly ribs, there's a little bit of cartilage here. Now later on we're going to clean this up and make it look nice, but now I just want to get through it. If you want to take up a big challenge like this, don't let yourself be discouraged by other people saying you can't do it or you should leave it to a butcher. Just think of yourself. How does it make you feel? Are you secure with that knife? Are you feeling comfortable? If not, then leave it to a butcher. If so, please give it a try, because this is the point when you start learning things. Look at how beautiful this is. We ended up with such a beautiful cut. Now it's time to start cleaning it up. We got that bone here and I just want to run my knife along that bone, cutting off excess fat and taking off the darker skin. If there's some dark meat in between the bones, don't worry about it too much. I'm gonna run that knife along the bone because I want to take that dark skin off, and I'm wedging my knife underneath that dry part, and then I'm going to try and tear it off with my hands. There we go. It's a big piece of silver skin I'm taking off, and a little bit of that discolored meat. I just took off this part from the dry aged piece, and look at it. It's all dark skin and a lot of dried fat. So you can clearly see that What it did was leave a big hole, and what that means is that this piece, it just hasn't got enough meat on it. So what I gotta do is I gotta take the last rib off. I wanted to keep as many ribs as I could, but you can't have like a big hole in your roast like this. That's a big no-go. We gotta make it look good. And there you got it, a beautiful looking backside to our beef ribs. Now I want to take that cartilage off even further because we all exposed it, but you can see this floppy bit, the moving bit at the ends of the bones. It's not here anymore. We got to take this off. So these two bones still have it. Here it's gone, here it's gone. So these two still got to go. And now it's much easier to determine where actually it is. So you can take it off. And it's gone there. Cleaning up the end. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And now we can see that we got all that beautiful meat, but the only thing stopping us from getting to it is this big piece of meat on top of it. It completely dried out, turned it into parchment, and it's no good for eating. So we're going to take that off, exposing the rest of the meat. And look at that. This is what we ended up with. Beautiful dry aged beef ribs. Absolutely insane. The beefy smell that comes off this is mind blowing, and it feels tender already. Man, like, I can't say this enough, but when I can do it, you can do it. And of course I got a few more years under my belt maybe than you, a little bit more experience, but I started where you started, in the backyard. You can do this too. Don't tell me you can't. You can, definitely. Let's fire up our Burnhard smoker and start cooking. I got my Burnhard smoker ready to be smoking, clean grill grates. Now all we need to do is load up our pellet hopper with some hardwood pellets. Then I'm gonna hit the switch and turn the dial. We're gonna run this at a temperature of 160 degrees Celsius because I want my ribs to turn nice and crispy on the outside first. And then once we build up a beautiful bark, we're going to wrap it up. But now we gotta get some salt and pepper on because I want big and bold, beautiful flavors. Of course, I'm using the Peña pepper. This is my favorite pepper in the whole wide world. White smoked Peña pepper. Then I'm gonna sprinkle on some coarse sea salt. And of course, I'm keeping it as simple as I can. Just salt and pepper because I want to experience those dry aged flavors. That dry aged fat, that dry aged beef, all the intenseness. And when we're using the rub, we're getting less of that experience, so we're keeping it real. As you can see, we got our pellet smoker startup smoke, and I want to capture the most of it, so the beef ribs are going on. Look at those beauties. If we would have put the whole thing on, it wouldn't have fit. So big, it was so heavy. It was around 30 kilograms, like 60 pounds. Insane. I felt like a weightlifter more so. Look, you see that? Look what we've got. All these beautiful steaks laying on our table. I trimmed them off out of the rest of the belly that we left over when we cut off the ribs. Of course, I had to get rid of all of that dry aged meat that was on the outside, all of the fat, the silver skin that turned into parchment, and then I was able to cut out the steaks. And now we have something beautiful like this inside skirt steak. Dark, red, flavorful meat, super tender. But as you can see, it's not a lot of meat. The amount of meat that is left over from trimming it up after 42 days dry aging is sadly a little less than we had before. But the quality that we have now is totally worth it. So this is all trimmed up, and in the meantime our ribs have been cooking. Dude, look at that! More interruptions. Come on, we're trying to cook here. This is a barbecue. Whoa, whoa. See, mowing your lawn in time is a very important thing. You gotta make sure you keep it short. It's a dad's job to make sure the lawn is impeccable. And it doesn't matter if you barbecue or if you don't barbecue, it's your job, your responsibility. Take care of it, put your flip-flops on, get them all out, do your job. All right, back to our ribs. They've been smoking at a temperature of 160 degrees for 2 hours. And we built up a beautiful brown crust with underneath a red color of smoke. And that's so flavorful. This is what I'm looking for. And I don't want to cook it any further on the outside because when I see it, I just want to eat it. And that's when you know it's time to wrap. Beautiful, the fat is melting. We got a beautiful brown crust building up. Of course, I'm wrapping it in butcher's paper because I want to preserve that bark. It's got a little crunch on the outside, a little bit of like crispiness, and I want to preserve that. Once we wrap it in aluminum foil, all that crisp is going to be soft. And with butcher's paper, we're keeping that crisp. And because we got such a giant sized piece of meat, I gotta put out 2 layers of butcher's paper. Oh. Oh, look at that. That's just gorgeous. So let's wrap this up. Yo, that smells good. There's the doggy. You know when it smells good? The dog shows up. Every single time. Before I'm going to put this on the barbecue, I'm going to put in a thermometer to make sure we keep our eye on it. We get our temperatures right. So I'm just going to pop that in a thickest part. And then this goes back on our Burnhard smoker. After 2 hours cooking in butcher's paper, we hit a core temperature of 94 degrees Celsius. I took the ribs off and I let them rest for another 2 hours in a Tampax box. And now they look like this, juicy and tender as can be.
These are absolute giants.
It's insane.
Where do you start? Just grab
the biggest one, and then we gotta cheers it because it
feels like I'm in that movie, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and it's like this is a normal rib, but I'm shrunken.
If you look at it, it already tells a story of it's being dry aged, because we got like these really nice crusty outside bits. It just looks different than beef ribs that we normally have.
Yeah. This, in my opinion, this looks way better.
It looks really good. It looks really rustic and rough and cool and tough. And I really enjoy that we gotten such a big piece. I know it's insane, but
I'm gonna eat it still. I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna maybe also finish another piece.
You gotta fight the dog for that piece.
Can we start?
Let's go, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my God. Too big. Oh, that's good.
That's insane.
It is super juicy. I expected it to be much drier.
It's amazing.
I don't understand. How is it still this juicy when we dry aged it? Like, this is seriously good stuff.
Yeah.
I think we just unlocked the secret of dry aged barbecue. We opened Pandora's box. How can we go back from this?
How can you ever go back to a regular side beef ribs from here? In my opinion, this is pure magic.
You want some?
How do you feel about beef ribs?
How do you feel, Eva? She's like being a little bit of princess lately. All she wants is chicken. Yeah, I know you want it. Yep. There you go. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Man,
this is good stuff.
That's amazing.
We ate a lot of beef ribs.
Yeah.
We ate a lot of beef, a lot of brisket.
Yeah.
But definitely this dry aging of beef to barbecue.
Pure magic.
It's pure magic. We gotta do more dry aged. If you think you got the great idea, because I have 100 million idea, but I wanna know what you think. What should we dry age and how should we dry age? We just wanna know a part of the cow that we can dry age, and then the top comment of that's what we'll dry age.
I want it all.
You wouldn't be you if you didn't want it all.
No.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
I did. But
Well, we still have to see the video. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you to our patrons and the YouTube members. Hope to see you guys next time. Until then,
eet smakelijk.
and keep on grilling. And keep on dry aging. We will.